This podcast is sponsored by the Fireman Moving Company. The Fireman Moving Company is the official moving company of WKU Athletics. Not only can they be trusted to move all the coaches in and out of Western, but they can move you anywhere nationwide. The Fireman Moving Company is owned and operated by firemen and is founded by WKU alumni. If you are looking to move sometime soon, give them a call at 270-791-1755 and get yourself a free quote. Welcome to Topper Talk, your number one Western Kentucky athletics podcast. I'm your host, Stephen Moffitt, and I'm joined by co-host Tyler Bailey. Hilltopper Nation, whether it's happening on the hill or on the road, grab those red towels, stand up and cheer, because it's up next on Topper Talk. All right, welcome back, and thank you for downloading and listening to another episode of the Topper Talk podcast. We are the official podcast of the Red Towel Trust Collective, and we are a proud member of the College Huddle podcast community. As always, make sure you're following us on all our social media accounts, just keeping up with all the latest news and information that we're posting. Definitely head over to our YouTube channel and subscribe over there. Feel free to check those episodes out. Hit us with a rate, a review, a comment, a like, all those fun things. Got Tyler here with me, man. We've got I don't want to say a fun episode to dive into, but a jam-packed episode to jump into at least.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be a full one. It should be a good one. You know, we got to talk about some bad stuff, but so goes life, as they say.
But before we jump into the Jacksonville State loss recap, we have to get caught up with our Red Towel wrap up, which catches us up with all the athletic news that we've missed since we last recorded, and that is brought to us by Trent Bedding Company.
Don't forget your headboard, pillows, and your sheets. We got everything you need for a good night's sleep. Number one on the same check, best of Bowling Green.
All right. Hey! Twins, full, queen and king, mattresses for anything. Come and pick it out and we can bring it to your house. Have you sleeping real good before the weekend's out. Trent Bedding. It's just like a mattress store. Hey.
Hey, you mind if we listen to that song a little bit later in the podcast just to raise the spirits up a little bit? But jumping into it, 27 student athletes graduated during the winter commencement at WKU.
Yeah, love to highlight, when our student athletes are excelling in the classroom, and obviously the big goal of the student athletes, because most of them are going to go pro in something that isn't sports. We all remember that old NCAA commercial. Not going to list all the student athletes that graduated, but definitely congratulations to all those Hilltoppers for earning that degree.
The WKU women's volleyball team, they lost to Minnesota 3-1 in the NCAA first round. In the AVCA All-Region, Kaylee Cox, Callie Bauer, and then you had honorable mention Izzy Vanderwild.
Yeah, that first round NCAA matchup game with Minnesota was a really tough draw. That was a really good top 30 type Minnesota team that we drew to play in the opening round. Losing 3-1 looks rough, just on paper. But if you dive in, and I watched, probably 98% of that match, we lost set one by, I think it was 2 or 3 points, just barely lost set one. And then we were leading in set four. We were leading up late, looked like we might force a fifth set, had a lot of momentum going our way, but just had some shots and some plays that didn't fall our way. Minnesota was a tough team and clawed back and won that fourth set, and avoided that fifth set, which anything could have happened. But tough break, good season. I think this team really showed a lot of heart and resilience. And then those AVCA honors, all region for Kaylee Cox and Callie Bauer. No surprise there. They have kind of been the leaders of this team all season. Then honorable mention, sophomore Izzy Vanderwild. Again, somebody that I look forward to watching the next couple of years. I think next year, she could be one of the leaders of this team with Kaylee Cox graduating. So tough season. Hate to see it end, especially to a really good Minnesota team, but really proud of this team and all those girls for the season that they had.
Moving on to men's basketball, they beat Evansville to score 79-65, and then they beat Tennessee State University 84-60.
Yeah, watch out now. The men's basketball team's getting hot. I think they've won 5 or 6 games in a row now. Their Ken Palm rating, they're right around that top 100. Convincing victories over, a pretty tough Evansville team, and then Tennessee State. Didn't expect a lot of fight out of Tennessee State, especially at home. That was at Diddle, but put that game away pretty convincingly. I think Ken Palm had us winning that game by 17, and we won by 24. So, that margin of victory helps for that Ken Palm rating. Got a really tough game coming up this Saturday against Murray State here at home. So the basketball team's rolling, winning games, high pace offense, shooting and making a lot of threes. Really carrying over what they did last year with their pace and style of play. Not sure why the crowds aren't showing up. Winning ball games, fun to watch. I don't understand it. I know I've seen others voice that opinion on social media, but man, get out and watch this team, man. They're fun. They're winning ball games, and Murray State's coming down. We went to their place last year and gave them a whipping. They're coming back looking for revenge this year. So we got to hold them off. We need a good home crowd. So let's go.
Yeah, you're right. There is no reason that place, Diddle, isn't rocking every game. It don't matter who's there. It should be, and these guys deserve it. Moving on to women's basketball, they lost to Wichita State 59-64, and then they beat Kentucky Wesleyan College 88-61.
Yeah, women's basketball, suffered their first defeat a few nights ago to Wichita State. Really tough game. Wichita, for whatever reason, has just had our number the last couple of years. Beat us in men's twice and now women's. Tough way. That was their first loss of the season, though, and then they bounced back earlier tonight as we were recording late Wednesday night. They took care of KWC out of Owensboro 88-61. So, moving towards the latter half of the non-conference schedule, women's basketball still looking pretty good. Hoping they keep that winning continuing on into conference play.
For all you people who's playing college football 25, they have uploaded some new jerseys. They got the WKU Big Red Eye helmet in there finally. I thought they'd put that in there earlier. But either way, I'm happy that they did put that helmet in there.
Yeah, it was overdue, man. The Big Red Eyes made the debut. It's to the point now where we have probably the coldest helmet game on that game, period. I guess Oregon might have an argument there, but especially for the G5, man. I mean, our helmets are just unreal on the actual field, but then when you translate that over to college football and you get to play around with the uniform combinations and it's just so nice to have that game back and just really cool to see that update. And now you can go play with that Big Red Eyes helmet. So love to see it.
Katie Craig, she is set to play in the 2024 Patriot All-American Invitational, taking place December 29th through the 31st.
Yeah, we'll definitely be keeping up with that one. She always represents WKU very well in all those kind of those pro-am tournaments, and this one will be no different. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of solid competition there, but looking forward to seeing her, near that top of the leaderboard. That's where she stays. That's where she lives. So I'm looking forward to it, and we'll definitely recap that when it happens.
Now, sit down, get out your popcorn, because we better talk about the football team, All Conference USA honors. Honorable mention is Easton Messer, Trayvon Taylor, Evan Wibberly, Dallas Walker, Dante McCray, and Darius Thomas. Freshman team is Lofton Howard and Cameron Flowers. Second team is Rex Robix, Devontae Matthews, Marshall Jackson, Quantavious Tick Leslie, Keyshawn Johnson, and Caden Belkamp. First team is Lucas Canario, Upton Stout, and Hosea Wheeler. And Lucas Canario, he was named to the Conference USA Special Teams Player of the Year, and Caden Belkamp was named Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, kind of a double-edged sword with all these honorees for the Conference USA all-conference teams. From honorable mention, ton of guys, second team, several guys, first team, a few guys, and then having the Offensive Player of the Year in Caden Belkamp, who, led the league in nearly every passing statistic, even though he didn't play the first 3 games of the season. Then Lucas Canario, automatic Legatron, only missed 1 field goal all season. That was his very first one versus Alabama. We led the league in all conference honorees and selections. But the double-edged sword of that is we didn't come out with a conference title. You had all this talent on the team. I think it's safe to say that we had more talent than any team in the conference. I still believe that, even after losing to Jacksonville State, even losing to Liberty La Tech down the stretch. I don't think it was a lack of talent. Just sometimes games don't go your way. But I'm really happy for each of those players mentioned. I think a lot of these names are going to come up later in this episode as we move forward. But really happy for those guys. Finish out their season strong and get the recognition for it. From the all conference honorees.
Yeah, with that concludes the Red Towel Wrap Up, brought to you by the Trent Bedding Company in Bowling Green, Kentucky. Moss, I'm going to give it back to you.
Yeah, good stuff as always. Just good Red Towel Wrap Up. A lot of stuff has happened since we last recorded a week ago, and including a conference championship game at Jacksonville State in what was a rematch for the conference championship game. Of course, we won the pre-match last Saturday in Bowling Green with that walk-off Lucas Canario field goal. Had the rematch down in Jacksonville, Alabama. Excited for how that could have went. Came in with a lot of energy. But quite frankly, went in and got our tails waxed. WKU goes in and loses that game 52-12. About as bad as it gets. And, now at this point, that game is 5 days old. It's old news. There's obviously been a lot more that's gone on since that game concluded. We thought about recording the night of the game, and at the time it felt like a good idea because, man, I think we were both ready to talk about it, man. It was just so bad and so ugly and just so not enjoyable to sit through that, I was ready to get on here and vent. But in hindsight, it was probably best we waited a few days, let some things simmer down, let some other pots start to boil over and overflow. But what we have to say about this game is it was a bad loss. All respect to Jacksonville State, they're a good team. Before the loss to us the week before, they were undefeated in conference play. They had wheeled off 8 consecutive victories before that loss to us at home. And then they went and took care of business. I mean, they were a good team. They're a good defense, a good rushing offense. But we had the capability of beating them. We showed that at home. But the wheels just fell off in this game. I mean, everything that could go wrong in this game did. You had turnovers. You had penalties, just dumb plays, not good execution. And then, quite frankly, the aftermath of this loss seems right now to be more pertinent than losing this game. I think win or lose in this game, we were going to have some reactionary call it portal entries or coaching changes, potentially just stuff that was under the surface that could was going to happen regardless. But to lose the game the way we did, and now we've seen this mass exodus to the transfer portal that we'll talk about a little bit later, but it's just made for a lot of social media and message board fodder. Just a lot of chatter, a lot of negativity, just not a lot of good conversation revolving around the football program at this moment, just due to how we lost this game. It was ugly. I mean, 52-12, you can't paint that any other way than just a bad and ugly loss. And then now this transfer portal epidemic that we're experiencing currently. Tyler, man, what are your thoughts on the game? What was it like for you sitting through it before we jump into some of the stats and indicators and grades that we got to talk about them?
Yeah, like the wheels fell off, the engine fell out of the Corvette. and then it ended up getting hit by a train. I mean, it was absolutely miserable, almost like La Tech, but you times that by like 20, 30, 40, 50%, or 50 times. I mean, because I knew that we could have done better. We could have played better, offense and defense. And every time we shot ourselves in the foot or just came out bad passes, bad reads, defense, defense couldn't really stop nothing. I mean, it's like almost like they were scoring at will, that they were just playing with us. And I feared that from the week before. I thought, and I said, maybe they didn't really show us anything because they already know they was going to be playing in the conference championship. And they knew they was going to be hosting. Win, lose, or draw, they was going to be hosting. So for them, that was just a practice run. And it just kills me to see us lose the way we did, because I know, like I said, I know we're capable of so much more than what we saw out there on that field. And having sat through that, I was at a high school basketball game. I had it playing on my phone. It was terrible, just miserable. And then, you're right. In the aftermath of what we're going to be talking about later, I mean, it just hits hard, man. It's not a good time right now.
Yeah, let's run through these offensive and defensive stat leaders. Offensively, we were led by Caden Beltcamp. He was 18 out of 30 passing for 141 yards. He had one passing touchdown, and he had 2 fumbles in the game. Elijah Young was our leading rusher. He had 19 carries for 108 yards. Easton Messer had 7 catches for 83 yards. Keyshawn Johnson had 1 catch for 25 yards and our only touchdown of the game. Katie Hutchinson had 3 receptions for 20 yards. And then looking on the defensive side of the ball, Keyshawn Swanson led the way with 14 tackles. 9 of those were solo. Devontae Matthews had 13 tackles. 8 of those were solo with half a tackle for loss. Darius Thompson had 7 tackles, 3 solo, half a tackle for loss. And then on the special team side, Easton Messer, 3 kick returns for 117 total yards, a long of 60. Lucas Canario, 2 out of 2 on field goals, a long of 54. And Cole Maynard, 4 punts for an average of 39.8 yards. Just skimming over it real quick, that's there. It wasn't, not a lot of offensive guys jumped off the page. Elijah Young did his thing, rushing the ball over 100 yards rushing is great. Easton Messer, 83 receiving yards plus over 100 return yards in the special team side of things, had a good game. But, other than that, not a lot of bright spots, Tyler. What, stood out for you on an individual basis for the, offense, defense, or special teams?
Well, I mean, it's not good, but I mean, to see Caden only limited to 141 yards, 18 to 30 passes. I mean, he's put up big numbers against, some defenses that I thought was better than Jack State. That kind of surprised me. As you said, Elijah Young, it was good that he rushed ball for over 100 yards, and he added some. He actually had negative receiving yards. Michael Madison, he had 3 receptions, 17 yards. Noah Myers, he had 1 catch for 5 yards. George Hart had 2 rushes for 10 yards. Michael Madison, he rushed the ball once for 11 yards. Is on that jet sweep. Offense, I don't know, man. It seemed like they weren't clicking. Defense could not stop a rush to save their life. And I hate being negative on them because I know they're going out there and they're playing their ass off. They're trying their best because as bad as we feel as fans, it's got to feel even 10 times worse for them being players and actually going out there and trying to compete. But there's nothing that really stands out to me. Keyshawn Swanson, 14 total tackles. That's awesome. Kylan Goodry, 7 tackles, 1 solo. You had Devontae Matthews, Darius Thomas, both a half tackle for loss. and we didn't have Marcus Patterson. He had 3 total tackles, 1 solo, and 1 tackle for loss. I mean, I it is what it is.
Yeah, I think what stands out to me is no impact plays on the defensive side, no sacks, no turnovers. Just kind of constantly getting gashed all game long, and that's something we both highlighted that we had to be aggressive. We had to be turnover tops. We had to stop them on first and second down. We didn't do that. Let's talk about some key indicators before we jump into grades. First downs in the game, WKU had 17, Jacksonville State had 26. Third down conversions, WKU was 4 out of 11. Jacksonville State was 4 out of 9. Total yards gained for the game, 229 for WKU, 562 for Jacksonville State, and 386 of those were rushing. The run defense, Achilles heel, reared its ugly head again in this championship game, and just couldn't do anything. Couldn't stop them. We knew it was coming. And Tyler Huff, who courageously played in this game, didn't look like after that game at Western when he went out hurt, did not think he was going to play this game. But not only did he play, he was effective. He was out there running, scrambling, taking hits, making good throws. So hats off to Tyler Huff, who ended up being the conference MVP and newcomer of the year. Hats off to Mr. Huff leading their team to a conference championship. He earned it. He went out there. He was a warrior. Turnover battle. Western Kentucky had 2. Jacksonville State had 0. And then time of possession, Western Kentucky 24-42, Jacksonville State 35-18. So a clean sweep in every sense of the matter there. Every single stat, Jacksonville State won convincingly. And I think that directly paints the picture to why this game was so lopsided on the scoreboard. Jacksonville State controlled and dominated this game in the trenches. They were more sound on offense. When they weren't gashing us with the run, they were picking up good chunks of yard via the pass. It just seemed like they were wide open. Everything they ran worked to perfection. Hats off to Rich Rodriguez. Have fun in West Virginia. Not going to have to worry about you next year. We'll talk about that at a later time and date, but there has been some coaching changes in the conference as a whole. Several teams are having shakeups. And quite frankly, that's a byproduct of winning. You win a conference championship, you put yourself up there to be poached and plucked and considered for other jobs. When you don't win them, you come back and coach next year, as we're finding out. So it is what it is. It was a tough loss. It was an ugly loss. We're going to jump into some grades that probably aren't going to be very friendly. But Tyler, what is your grade for the offense versus Jacksonville State?
I will say, just sidebar here. Keyshawn Johnson, man, earlier in the season, he was getting a lot of passes, getting a lot of receptions. I feel like they kind of trickled off here towards the end of the season whenever I guess the La Tech game on. And I'm just kind of curious of what happened. I'm not blaming him, not blaming Caden or anything. I'm just curious because something didn't feel right. Offense, I'm gonna have to give them 200 and an F. It's not pretty. Wasn't nothing pretty about this other than Elijah getting over 100. But I mean that at the end of the day, that just wasn't enough. We only found the end zone one time. F for me, dog.
Yeah, same for me. 12 points, not even 300 yards of offense. So I'm going to give them an F as well. Rough game, and I'm sure they're just as aware of it as we are. So tough game. What about your grade for the defense?
Oh gosh, F again. I mean, dude, you gave up 386 yards of rushing. And you're right. There were some passes that Huff threw. I don't know if the team just sold out completely on the run and but the receivers would be just wide open, no one within 15 yards of them. I was wanting to cuss so bad in that gym, but I didn't. I told my wife, I was like, "This is not good," but the grade's gonna have to be an F.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It was an ugly performance. I don't, there's no reason to try to dress it up and put lipstick on the pig and call it something it ain't. It was a bad game. You know, I don't think it's indicative of what this season was. It's still a runner up finish in the conference. Quite frankly, it's still, a lot of teams were sitting at home watching us play. But the defense in this game was an F. It is what it is. What about your grade for special teams?
Special teams gonna have to be. You know what? I will give them an A. Easton Messer, I was watching that 60-yard run. I thought he was going to bust it wide open. It came so close. Ended up getting tripped up there at the very end. Lucas, 2 for 2. Long 54. He's out there doing Lucas things, kicking the 50-yarders plus. And Cole, he got one within the 20. His long was 48. He 4 punts for 159 yards. In my book, that was the one shining unit out there on the field, and I will give them an A for that.
Yeah, MVP for Lucas Canero, man. He got us to the championship game. Did he have the first points in the game? I don't recall. We might have been up 3-0 early in this game off the leg of Lucas Canero. So I'm right there with you. Special teams for me gets an A. They did everything they were supposed to do. They executed. They didn't have any blunders, any muff punts, or bad punts or missed field goals. So special teams gets an A from me. What about your grade for coaching?
Coaching, dude, you asked me, you knew what Jack State was going to do. You had 2 weeks basically to prepare for it. And in the game, whenever the defense is off the field, you should definitely be over there coaching them, saying, "Hey, we got to get better at this. We got to get better at that." Same thing with the offense. The play calling wasn't really nothing inspiring. I'm going to give coaches an F as well.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I mean, it does come down to execution on the field. We've talked about that all season, all last season. Every time we've done a game recap, the coaches are going to get all the criticism if it's a bad game, and they're going to get all the credit if it's a good game and a blowout victory. So it kind of is what it is. When you're a highly paid coach, paid to win ball games and put your athletes in the best position to win games, and you don't do that, you're going to take that criticism. And that surely is happening. If you get anywhere online, on Twitter, on the Facebook, WKU football group, on the 247 board, I mean, there's criticism far and wide, and some of it deserved, some of it not, but this was not a good game. And surely they're as unhappy with their performance as the rest of the fans were. I don't think that's off the wall to say. So I'm right there with you. I think an F is merited. Ugly victory. I'm over it. I'm past it. There has been a lot of stuff that has happened since this game. First, we'll talk about the good news. I guess we accepted an invitation to play in the Boca Raton Bowl in Boca Raton, Florida, at FAU's stadium. We are playing James Madison University of the Sun Belt Conference. That game is on 12/18. That is a week from today, next Wednesday at 4:30 p.m. local time here, Central Time. The game will be on ESPN, the Uno, and James Madison opens as a 6.5 point favorite for this game. So, all things considered, and just looking at where other teams had bowl games, Bahamas, etc. I think, in my opinion, we kind of got the pick of the litter. Boca Raton or New Orleans were kind of, where I was thinking we would end up. Really hoped and thought we might end up playing Marshall. If it shook out that way, thought it would be cool for the Moonshine Throwdown to get revived in a bowl game scenario. Obviously, they have their own coaching fire and transfer portal fire that they're trying to contain over there due to their coaching change. But we've got a tough bowl game coming up against a really good James Madison team. Right now, they're favored to win. And obviously, we'll preview that game at a later time and date, not today, but we will talk about it. Tyler, how do you feel about this James Madison bowl game coming up?
Well, I feel a lot better about it, since it's this year's James Madison, not, James Madison of last year, 2 years ago, whenever they went like undefeated, was just running through teams. This time they're the third in the East in Sun Belt. Have a 4-4 conference record, 8-4 overall. I do like Boca Raton, that bowl. I think this is the third time we played in it. It seems like it is a good spot, a good team to play against. I do wish it was Marshall too. That would have been awesome. And I was kind of hoping for that same thing as well. But all in all, I do think I like this one over the New Orleans Bowl. I just think this is a good bowl for us to be in. Hopefully, we have a good team, or at least part of a team that goes down there and play in it.
The Boca Raton Ponzi Scheme Awareness Bowl is always a fun bowl game to be a part of. It will be fun. One thing we have to talk about since the Jacksonville State loss and now moving into the James Madison game and just the coaching carousel, everything that's going on just across college football. Earlier tonight we saw, I haven't seen the official, revelation that Rich Rodriguez from Jacksonville State is going to get hired by West Virginia. He's going back there. Sam Houston lost their coach. I think he went to Temple. There's just been a lot of coaching changes. There's a lot of stuff going on. Of course, there were Tyson Helton rumors. If you were keeping your ears close enough to the ground, there was ECU rumblings. There was Purdue whispers. And it kind of feels like maybe the way this season ended, you lose 3 of your last 4 games. ECU elevated their interim coach to head coach, Blake Harrell. Purdue went a different direction and didn't hire. They went with Barry Odom, I think, from UNLV. So it kind of feels like Tyson Helton almost played or coached himself out of consideration for another job. So, again, get on Twitter, type Tyson Helton in the search bar. Go to our 247, go to our WKU Facebook group for the football team, and just read the post, read the comments. There's a lot of negativity towards Tyson Helton right now. Just the fact that we're in year 6 and we're yet to claim a conference championship. This was his second championship game appearance. We previously lost in 2021 when we lost to UTSA at their place, and have just come up short several times. It just seems like there's always that one team in our way that we just can't get over that hump with Tyson Helton. And, you kind of know what you're going to get. You're going to win 8-9 games. You're going to be in contention for first, second place in conference. You're going to go to a bowl game. You're going to go beat a Sun Belt team or a MAC team, whomever that is. But, the chatter is starting to grow louder, and it's not from here. I'm not a detractor. I'm not someone who is calling for his head, but I surely see that chatter, and I surely feel like, some of that's probably bleeding over to the administration, Todd Stewart, etc. I feel like he has a good pulse on, just the overall, the I guess the overall standing of the football team and program, that there's enough talent there to win a conference championship. So, Tyler, what are your thoughts on Tyson Helton and just coming up short again? Not being able to win that championship, and just all the chatter that is surrounding his job and security right now.
That's one thing about being in Western Kentucky is we always strive to play for championships, or at least, championships. He's been here 6 years. I'm looking back at it. He's got the David Ellison. He was the last one with 6 years. Willie Taggart had 3. Bob Petrino 1 season. Jeff Brom 3. Jeff Brom also won 2 conference titles. Mike Sanford had 2. Helton's got 6. And you're right, it is. It's 9-4, 5-7. That was COVID year though. 9-5, 9-5, 8-5. And 8-5. The last 8-5 was 2023 when we won the famous Toaster Bowl. At some point, you gotta get over that hump. I hate to stagnate, and I feel like that's kind of what we're doing. Why can't we have a 10-win season, 11-win season? It's got to be there. It just seems like some games we always slip up and let it get away, whether it be an FCS opponent or a non-conference game that we should have won. This year it was Boston College. If we'd went for that field goal, we win that game. He's a great recruiter and portal guy, portal wizard. He's great at it. And he coaches some great games. But there's some games where he'll call some plays and it just leaves you scratching his head. I like an aggressive coach. Sometimes he can be a little over aggressive. But I can see the seat kind of warming up. I'm like you though. I'm not one to say, let's fire the guy right now. As much as I am disappointed in some of the seasons, I don't think it calls for him to be fired because he is bringing in talent. He's always putting a good team out there. It's just some things slipped up. His overall record here is 40-26. There's a lot of teams that would be happy with a 40-26 record. Conference, he's 28-11. So he has a winning record in overall and in conference seasons. In 2019, we finished tied for second in the East. 2020, third for the East. 2021, he was first in the East. In 2022, he was tied for second in the East. 2023, he was fourth. Like I said, we strive for championships, and I will not shy away from that. This is Western Kentucky. We're one of the best. We will play for championships. But it is becoming time that, hey, he either wins us one or, gives us just give us one, man. That's all we want. As fans, that's all we want is a conference championship. Please give us one. Top a 10-win season, 11-win season. Hell, I would love to go undefeated, but come on, coach. I'm not calling for you to get fired. We will not do that just yet. But I feel like that seat is warming up.
Yeah, you mentioned the portal earlier, and one of my long-standing phrases has been "the portal giveth and the portal taketh away." I have been saying that since the Moonshine Throwdown days of many, many years ago now at this point. And it's well known that we honored 27 seniors on senior night this year. And as of this recording at 11 p.m. Wednesday night, the transfer portal has seen 29 of our players enter their name into the transfer portal. Now, that does not mean that they're gone. I think that is very well documented that WKU and our Red Towel Trust NIL collective, we are very good at getting talent to come back to Western Kentucky. We are going to make every effort to keep these guys that are on the roster that have put their name out there. But in today's college landscape, I can't blame any of these guys for putting their name out there and just seeing what their value is, seeing what the interest is out there for their services. I mean, that is just, it feels like it's basically free agency on a yearly basis. You have to re-recruit your own players, figure out who's coming back, and then you have to go recruit from the portal, other guys with game film, and then you're filling in your needs with JUCO guys and high school guys. The recruiting model has really flipped. It used to be high school guys first, JUCO guys second, and then we'll fill in with some portal guys, transfer guys, guys looking for a fresh start. That's flipped. You're looking for portal guys first, JUCO guys second, and I really feel like the high school recruits are really getting the short end of the stick as far as the availability of scholarships and just their opportunity to get on a roster. So let's talk about in no particular order. Honestly, the order is what I have when I saw them hit the portal on my Twitter X timeline. So all the guys that have entered the portal as of right now are Daryl Johnson, Jaden Loving, TJ Finley, Donovan Jones, Jarvis Hayes, LT Sanders, Darius Thomas, Musa Berry, Hosea Wheeler, Deontay McCray, Turner Helton, Marcus Patterson, Jaleel Rivera Harvey, Denzel Ayin, Alex Ford, Levy Johnson, River Helms, Reed Jamerson, Easton Messer, Dallas Walker, DeMarco Williams, Keyshawn Harvey, Lucas Canero, Elvin Fofana, Jamar Mundy, Caden Veltkamp, Jalen Hampton, Michael Moment, and Rodney Newsome Jr. So a really mixed bag of guys, offense, defense, a lot of starters, a lot of guys that were recognized on honorable mention, first team, second team, all conference USA, just a lot of guys that played a lot of snaps for Western Kentucky this year. Tyler, what are your thoughts on, I don't want to call it a mass exodus because they're not gone, but this mass entry to the transfer portal?
Horrible. And you're right. They're going out there. It's just any other business decision. They're going out there to see if they could get possibly more NIL money or to see what programs are wanting them. And I know team players want to play for the sold out arenas like down there in Alabama, Ohio State, Texas A&M. And it's hard and it sucks having to root for these guys that is on your team, and then the day after the game or a few days after the conference championship, which was terrible enough, you see them saying, I'm entering the portal, and you don't know if they're coming back or not, especially Caden Veltkamp, Easton Messer, Darius Thomas, Hosea Wheeler, Dante McCray, some of these River Helms, Dallas Walker, DeMarco Williams, Keyshawn Harvey, some of these people that, especially on defense that you would see, I know DeMarco Williams was getting interceptions, fumbles, and then all of a sudden you see him being like, "Hey, I'm entering the portal." Easton Messer. That one's hard because he was one of my favorite offensive players. He was always one that was down for the cause, was ready to go in there, sacrifice his body to catch a pass, get hit, or get some extra yardage out of it. I mean, it's crazy thinking 29 players done entered their names. I mean, it sucks, man. This is the second time Caden has entered his name in there. Last year was during the bowl game. This year it's before the bowl game, right after the conference championship. I mean, and I know that if they did enter, they could always withdraw. I hope they do. Just because I hate to see that talent go anywhere else. I am kind of selfish at that. Once we get talent, I tend to want to keep it. I mean, Lucas Canario, the hero of the Jackson of the final game of the regular season, was kicking balls like it was going out of style. Entered his name. I mean, that's it's just hard, man. And I feel like fans are kind of worried about it.
I think it really highlights the fact that, one, there's a lot of talent on this roster. A lot of guys are just putting out their name out there because there's going to be interest for their services. Talk about Lucas Canero, Hosea Wheeler, River Helms, Deontay McCray, and the list goes on and on. That list is full of guys who have game tape and are going to have interest. So it will be interesting to see how it plays out. But one thing we have to remind everybody is, one, these guys will be eligible to play in the bowl game. Just entering your name in the transfer portal does not exclude you from playing in the bowl game. We had guys in the portal the last couple of years that still played in the bowl game. QB1 this year, Caden Velkamp is prime example of that. He was in the portal last year, came into the bowl game. Famous Toastery Bowl, was the backup quarterback to Turner Helton, came in the game, led us to that historic, magical comeback from 28-0, and decide to come back and play at Western this year. So, I think, many of these guys will still play in our bowl game versus James Madison as long as they haven't committed to another school. They are still going to be eligible to play. Tyson Helton is very proactive in recommending and hoping that they play in the bowl game if it's in their best interest. And I also think it's kind of a catch-22 to see so much negativity about this season, and especially the last month of the season, just how we finished the year. So many people being down on this team and down on the players and the results, etc. And then when some players start hitting the portal, they get upset. But from a fan perspective, if you thought this team wasn't good, if you thought the talent wasn't good enough to win games, wouldn't you want to turn over some talent? And when we talk about Tyson Helton and his experience in the transfer portal, he's very open and saying, the transfer portal is a chance for us to make our team better. And, just because they entered the transfer portal doesn't mean they're gone. And Tyson Helton has been ahead of the curve for several years now on identifying, what areas we need to improve upon, whether it's offensive playmakers, defensive guys, quarterbacks, etc. You can go on and on and on, naming guys that we've gotten from the transfer portal to have come and played here and been major contributors, and been guys that we'll remember for a long time. And Helton is really good in that area. And I don't think there's any reason to believe, even with 27 seniors that just got recognized. Some of them probably have eligibility left, but I assume most of those guys are gone. And now 29 guys as of today, Wednesday night, are in the transfer portal. There's going to be more. There's still a few weeks now of the transfer portal being opened. before it's closed, and they just have to enter their name into the portal before it closes. As long as their name's in, they can consider going somewhere else before the spring semester begins. But I have a feeling that several of these guys, I don't want to say a lot of them, but many of them will return back to Western Kentucky. And then Tyson Helton will do what he does. And the Red Towel Trust, who we're obviously the official podcast of, the Red Towel Trust has been very storied in retaining talent. They're going to do everything that they can to compensate players, to make players feel valued and want to play here. Because that's what a lot of these guys are doing. They're putting their name out there to see what the interest is, see what their value is. And then they're going to come back and play here where they already know what they got, what they're getting. They already know the team, the coaches, the schemes, their teammates. Many of these guys are going to come back. And then Tyson Helton is going to do what he does. This offense in general sells itself. The Keyshawn Johnsons that we enjoyed this year, the Elijah Youngs that we've enjoyed the last couple years, those guys coming over from other programs. And you can go down the list. I mean, the Stearns brothers, Zappy, Mitchell Tinsley, so many guys have come here because our offense is just so high powered. We spread the ball around. We score a lot of points. Even if this year was a disappointment, wins and losses, points scored in a couple games, Tyson Helton has still always been very good at identifying transfer portal talent and getting them to come to Western Kentucky and to Bowling Green. So I think everyone, the Facebook message group, I've been on there updating the transfer portal list kind of daily, trying to keep it up to date. I just want people to know whose names are in. But sometimes I feel like that's throwing chum out to shark-infested waters that everybody starts eating it up and just saying, "Oh my, what's going on in that building?" They're not gone, guys. Relax. This is just a process. This is college football today. This is not just a Western Kentucky problem. This is a college football across the board problem. Everybody, not just us, has players that are putting their name in the portal, seeing what's out there. And honestly, I feel bad for the guys that, there's guys with no game tape putting their names out there, and they're going to get stranded out there. Their position's going to get filled. Helton's going to go find some ball players, and too many guys are going to get left out there with no scholarship when they could have just stayed home and been a role player, bench player, next man up type guy, and had a position here and had their school paid for. The grass is not always greener, but you have to water your own grass. You have to do what's in your best interest. We've said that many times that whether you come here or whether you decide to leave and go elsewhere, we will thank you for your time here at Western Kentucky and in Bowling Green, Kentucky, for coming to Western Kentucky and representing this school and university, and just dedicating your time, your body, your all your free time, your just study time, practices, film time, training, rehabbing, just all that goes into being a Division I athlete. If you come here, thank you. We appreciate you. If you decide to go elsewhere, we wish you the best of luck. I'm going to still cheer for you. I'm going to keep up with you. I'm going to post you if there's something that you do that's post worthy wherever you go. If that's your next team, if that's the NFL or a pro level somewhere else, I'm going to say former Hilltopper so and so is doing this, because if you came here, you're a Hilltopper. We're going to appreciate you for your time here. But I think everybody needs to take one step back from the ledge. They're towing the ledge right now because there's a lot of chatter and negativity going on around the coaching and the team and the transfer portal. But it's just all part of the process. It is what it is right now on paper. It doesn't look great. But if we take a step back from the ledge, we realize that a lot of these guys are going to return to school. They're going to be Hilltoppers. And then on top of that, Tyson Helton's going to identify and recruit and land a lot more talent that's going to come here next year and be Hilltoppers that want to be Hilltoppers. And then we're coming back to a league that has, coaching turnover at Sam Houston. They're going to have a new coach. Jacksonville State's going to have a new coach. Liberty's losing their quarterback one. Caden Salter's in the portal. He's gone. Quentin Cooley, their running back one, he's gone. The conference is going to be up for the taking next year. There's just going to be a lot of upheaval at the top. The team, the top 4 teams. If Helton runs it back and brings some talent back, which I'm expecting, I think we're going to be in this same position next year where we should be playing ourselves into a conference championship game, and we should have the talent to go and win it. That's how I feel about it. I know right now the optics of the transfer portal and the seniors and losing the championship game in the way that we did, the optics are not great. But we have to relax. We have to remember that the portal giveth, the portal taketh away. Right now we're in taketh away. The tide is going out right now. But none of those guys have committed to any other schools. Right now, 29 guys on that list, no one has committed anywhere else. So they're all able to come back. They're all able to play in our bowl game. And many, many, many of them will. And it's going to be okay. Take a deep breath. Relax. We're going to be fine. We're going to have a good football team next year, just like we always do. And I'm ready for it. I'm here for it. Tyler, hit me with your thoughts about just the transfer portal, all these guys. Obviously, our next episode will be a James Madison bowl game preview. But hit me with your transfer portal thoughts and then take us on out of here.
Well, I guess I'm going to say, kind of echo something I said earlier. I mean, if you don't want... if you want to make players feel like they're welcomed here and are, supported, make them feel like they're watched instead of playing in half-empty arenas, come to the games. Kind of like when we was at that Jack State game. Not a lot of people. It was kind of embarrassing for senior night, and for there to be a crap ton of empty seats. Same thing goes with basketball. Come to the game. A bunch of them chairbacks down there in the lower section against Tennessee State was completely empty. It really horrible optics whenever you're looking at it. But I mean, yeah, I know some of these guys will come back kind of like they did last year. So there is no reason to be freaking out, even though, yeah, it kind of feels like there should be a reason, because you just hate to see all of them names going at one time. And I get it. There for the first few days, I was freaking out, like, dude, seriously, why? Please don't leave. But they can always withdraw their name and come back until the portal closes. And I feel like they will. Just kind of echoing what you said, because yeah, the grass ain't always greener, and if it is, sometimes it's the bullshit that keeps that grass green on the other side of that fence. But it is kind of weird seeing all them names going at one time. But like I said, it's up to the fans too to make these guys feel welcome. Support the Red Towel Trust. If you want some more of these players to come back as well, because I mean, at the end of the day, it is about that NIL. The NIL and transfer portal has changed college landscapes, and really that's what it is now. So if more people can chip in, that means more money into these players' pockets that will help pay for their families' visits, their families' trips, and all kinds of stuff. So, y'all, I hope all the people think about that as well. But come out Saturday, support Western versus Murray State. Should be a good game. I'm hoping to cheer on a topper victory on that one. And with that, Moff, who has it better than us?
Nobody, brother. You know it.
You know, go Tops, y'all.
Go Tops. Later, guys.
See ya.